Hey there, this is Ramona, and we're doing another Reddit video because that's what we do here. This one is, what do demons look like? And the tagline for the person is a Haitian zombie, but I don't know if that's true or not. But the question is, what do demons look like? So let's get into this. Ready? In Christianity, there are different types of demons. What do they look like based on the chapters where demons are described, and what are their traits? I can't get consistent info on it and hope the subreddit will help. Answers only in the comments. I don't want any sass, criticism on the premise or non-answers because my last two posts got that in spades. Edit. This isn't meant to be rude, by the way. I just need answers, and I'm sick of people not answering and just wasting my time with not answering, but only criticizing. So here we go. Ready? Let's do this. Whatever you want them to. That's not a cop-out answer. That's the truth. There is no biblical description of demons, so their appearance depends on what beliefs you subscribe to. Tradition teaches that the devil takes many forms. They can be man or beast, and they can either be a beautiful seducer or a terrifying monster, depending on what form best suits his needs. So we can reasonably postulate that there is a trait shared by most demons. However, medieval art, particularly in Europe, often depicts demons as small black creatures with horns and tails, and sometimes wings. So while this was likely done to demonize the gods and the spirits of the old religions that the Christianity sought to replace, it could also be another answer to your questions. The gods and magical beings of pagan indigenous religions. Other traditions, again, teaches that there are at least two groups or generations of demons. The angels who fell from grace during the rebellion in heaven, and those who are the half-breed offspring of those fallen angels and humans. But they are the human women in Genesis 6:4, or Lilith told of in medieval rabbinic tradition. Speaking of Lilith, she's one of the more famously named demons, yet to my knowledge her name appears exactly once in the Bible, Isaiah 34:14, where her name is that of some monster terrorizing the land. What she looks like isn't clear, implying that the original audience of the Bible would be familiar enough with her that she needed no further introduction. Her presence in the Bible has been variously translated as, I can't pronounce that, in Greek, oh my goodness, on a centaur? Lamia in Latin, screech owl in English. We know she's a night monster, possibly some kind of vampire, from the Dead Sea fragments, detailing warding spells against her, but what she looks like isn't clear. We do get some clues from medieval rabbinic tradition. Whether these views match those of the Jews contemporary to Isaiah 2,000 years earlier, it is impossible to know. We are told that Lilith was the first wife of Adam. Created at the same time as Adam, but while Adam was created from dust, Genesis 2:7, Lilith was created from fertile mud. But because she refused to submit to him, God cursed her and exiled her from Eden. Lilith then pairs with demons, sometimes specifically Samael, and to produce thousands of offspring who plague the descendants of Adam. The reply was, a popular depiction of Satan gave him a second face in his ass. During the witch trials, it was believed women sealed the deal with the devil by kissing his ass face. Unlikely. If there was any research in the scriptures, the gods of the pagans were vilified but not demonized. What many people don't know, and probably just don't because it's not often taught, that there are lowercase gods mentioned in the Bible. They're mentioned as the sons of God. In Hebrew, Elohim, yes, Elohim is another way of addressing God, but it's not like addressing someone by their hair color. It's a descriptor, not a name. There's also one Yahweh El-Harim, God of gods, but there's multiple gods. These lowercase gods do not deserve worship and are usually in charge of the original notions of the world after the Tower of Babel. They are meant to point worship towards Yahweh, but they did not. And that is why we get so many different gods, but all basically the same creation story in a lot of places. So the next reply was, there's not really any given physical descriptions, at least none of the demons mentioned directly in the Bible. The only one that comes to mind is Lilith, who is thought to be a female night demon, and is translated in the KJV to screech owl, which they mentioned before. I know that Catholicism has as much more extensive demonology, mostly based on extra biblical sources, but I don't know enough about that to go into detail. Lilith isn't Christian mythology and isn't in the Bible. It's a medieval Jewish invention that not even most Jews take seriously. What you're referring to is just the Hebrew word for owl. And the reply with that is Lilith is mentioned in Isaiah 34:14. So not exactly a medieval invention, considering that the book of Isaiah was written sometime between the 18th century BCE. So they're going to argue and stuff. Her name appears again in the Dead Sea Scrolls, where she is identified as a demon, while significantly closer to anything medieval, being between 5th century BCE and 4th century CE, is still at least a couple of centuries too early to support the claim that she's a medieval invention. So they're going to go on and argue and argue and argue. So we're just going to let them do that. As far as I can remember, demons aren't described with any vividness outside the monsters in Revelation. And Revelation is considered apocryphal writing, vaguely encoded boo, Rome, you suck, Nero in it. That's not true, but okay. And it shouldn't be taken too seriously. That's how you become a 1800s preacher and invent the rapture. Most depictions of demons come from sources outside the scripture. Theologically speaking, everyone should be aware that in 1 Thessalonians 4:16-18 is what talks of the rapture. Rapture is just a one-word title for the much larger thing that's about to happen. With the world, where the whole everyone disappears in the night thing came from, I have no clue. But whenever it happens, the rapture was never meant to be secret. With the voice of an archangel and the trumpet of God. Does that sound like a secret to you? Lots of arguing on this thread. Wow. Lots and lots of people being kind of salty about stuff. Kind of salty. Let's see. The comment by, oh my goodness, I'm going to butcher this one too. Eusebius of the Caesarea is a story transmitted by the 1st century philosopher Plutarch, and the story of the death of great Pan. In his commentary, this dude that I can't pronounce his name calls attention to the time when Plutarch says the death occurred during the reign of Tiberius, in the same era in which saw the advent of Christ on earth. This dude claims that the death of Pan, imagined as the death of all the pagan gods, based on the ancient pun which equated the name of the shepherd god Pan with its Greek homonym Pan, all, and it was not a natural or chance occurrence. Rather, it resulted from a perspective of a purpose act of exorcism by Christ to chase away all the pagan gods, which were imagined to be demons. In this proclamation, this dude turns Plutarch's story into a weapon to use against the pagans. By pursuing this tactic, this dude subtly changes the meaning of the terms Pan and Daemon to make them stand for dimensions of evil, whereas in Greek religious and literary history, both terms had stood for dimensions of the sacred. Christianity and Judaism have always been extremely against the pagan gods, because according to us, the pagan gods do not deserve worship. Sure, they exist, but they aren't necessarily demons. That's just what they have been turned away from Yahweh. A lot more arguing on this thread. As a Christian, demons are not given a specific description. However, we are given a description of Satan, roughly. We know that he is one of God's most beautiful creations and had a likeness to gemstones. Basically, very colorful and very pretty. Is slightly reminded of Demon Slayer right there. It's also written that the demons, more specifically Satan, show up as things of beauty. So to answer your question, demons look beautiful in the same way an angler fishes light is beautiful. Demons lure you in by pretending to be beautiful and then show you their true colors, which is darkness. Every demon was once an angel. Every single one. And someone replies with, this is the most correct answer according to my understanding. The demons originated as angels and should then be able, logically, to appear as such. In the book of Adam, Satan puts on his angel clothing to fool Eve after his appearance to her as a serpent. This is mythology, not religion, but they look like whatever they think will get them what they're after. They can be beautiful or terrifying, but really they don't look like anything at all because they don't come from a plane of visible light. There's an answer I hadn't expected. Serious question. What's the difference in mythology and religion? If you're atheist, demons are just a Christian myth. That's what I mean. Written in oral pseudo-history versus what people actually believe. Even most Christians don't believe that the Bible is entirely, literally true. So, like, it is written in some places that demons are supposed to look like red, scaly, horned, whatevers, versus what I think demons actually are, being manifestations of negative situations and emotions that can appear in whatever form embodies them to the specific viewer. Not people, so to speak, but concentrations of negative energy. I'm not Christian, but I'm not atheist either, and I think most myths are attempting to put a face on things we don't understand, and not literal history. That's very possible too. So there's a lot more going on here, and they're arguing about stuff. But we'll finish with, to echo others, there's no canonical biblical description. Haven't read all the apocryphal texts, but maybe. The Dictionnaire Infernal is a primer example in Christian demonology, and it wasn't created until much later and is largely based on Dante's Divine Comedy. You could also look into the Keys of Solomon to see if there are any descriptions contained therein. It's a purportedly ancient grimoire used by King Solomon to summon and bind demons to his will. And we know that is biblical because it actually talks about Solomon talking to otherworldly creatures. So anyway, this video, well, the video didn't go off the rails. I followed the rail. But this thread was definitely a little hit or miss, a little everywhere. Interesting to hear what people talk about and their thoughts, but I think it's pretty safe to say nobody knows anything. You don't know what you don't know, but it's fun to listen and speculate. Anyway, thanks for listening and watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.